everyone, welcome to episode 105 of the arieknits podcast. My name is Ariel and this is a video podcast where I talk about all the things that I have been knitting and spinning on for the past week. Today it is Saturday, February 8th, and I actually don't think I have any new projects on my needles this week. Kind of surprising, although actually, I take that back. I have a test knit that I talked about and showed you a swatch last week that I actually cast on. So that one I'm really excited to show it to you all because I spent a lot of time on that one. And I made lots of progress on my other projects. I have some spinning updates and I have a couple of acquisitions, and I also have some more yarn things to show you all that I have traded with some friends, and I just want to show you all what I got. So let's get started. I am wearing the Northwoods V-neck today. This pattern is by Jessie Maed Designs, and it was a finished object from earlier this year, but I didn't get a chance to wear it on a podcast yet, so now I actually get to wear it and show it to you all. For the yarn, I used Explorer Knits Boucle DK in the colorway Churros Con Chocolate, and this pattern is not actually a boucle pattern, but I just used boucle yarn. This it was like a friend knit, so we all decided to make, or not all of us, but some of us decided to knit this pattern and use boucle yarn. So it is like our friend boucle knit, and we're using the same pattern, so it was a friend knit. Very excited that it is done now, and I get to wear it because it is very cozy. I knit size extra small, and I used US 4 needles or 3.5 millimeter needles to knit this. I did have to size down my needles, and I've been finding that for boucle especially, I've been having to size down my needles. I think maybe just because of the way the boucle yarn is, because it's very loopy. I tend to just knit looser with it, and so I do have to size down my needles to make gauge for most of the time. And finished measurements I got for this is 38 inches in circumference. That is slightly larger than the pattern states for this size. That does give me about 8 inches of positive ease. But the fit I love, and I also didn't really make any modifications to this except for making the length of the body a lot longer. So yeah, I will stand up and you can see kind of like how this fits on me. You can see it is not a cropped length at all. It is pretty full length for me. It is a very comfortable length. And you can see how fluffy it is in the boucle here. I did do 2x2 ribbing for the V-neck and also for the wrist, for the cuffs, and also the hem. And I think in the boucle, even though it's really fluffy, you can still see that ribbing texture, and so I really do enjoy that. And sleeve length is feeling really great. I really like this sleeve length here. I do tend to prefer longer sleeves in general. Like if I had to choose like too short or too long, I would for the most part go too long, especially if it's one where it's a little bit more fitted, like it's not an oversized width or circumference, and so I can actually like roll up my sleeves and do stuff, which is something I like in a knitted sweater. And it feels so comfortable in boucle. I think right now this is my favorite boucle sweater that I have. I just think that it has I think it really has to do a lot with the sizing of it and how it fits is why I really like it. And yeah, it's just really comfortable. Has that sweatshirt kind of feel. It's not too oversized, but not tight anywhere. The sleeves, they look pretty like fitted, like really nicely shapes the arm, but it's not tight at all. And so I like that. I feel like I can bend and move and be kind of like, move around, and I can do stuff still and not have like sleeves hanging everywhere, and I feel like I can't do anything. The V-neck depth I really appreciate on this pattern because it is not too deep and it is also not too shallow. I feel like if it's too shallow, like it's okay, but this length is like perfect V-neck depth for me, and so I really, really like that. and I'm overall very happy with this knit. I can't wait for the rest of my friends to finish theirs as well. I think actually Sylvan is the one who, this was her like boucle knit when we were knitting with the, when I made my superlative sweater, if you remember that. This pattern was her boucle knit, and she really liked it, and so for some of our second boucle knits, we decided to go with this pattern. I know Megan finished hers, and she used a variegated boucle yarn, and it looks so good. So I don't have any variegated boucle in my possession, and so I feel like one day if there is a good variegated boucle yarn that I really like the colors, that maybe I would be very tempted to get some of that for a sweater. But for this one, I really like it. Color, love the color of this yarn. I'm really into this like brown, like a pink brown kind of color going on, and so this feels very comfortable and very me right now. So that is what I am wearing. Moving on to my works in progress for this week. Sticking with the boucle theme, I want to show you progress on this test knit, and it's kind of huge right now, so I need to be careful about pulling this up. This is my Kermode hoodie by Winter's Weather Knits, and as you can see, it is all boucle. I think that this year, 2025, is going to be like my boucle year. I just have a lot of plans for boucle knits this year, and that'll be really fun. I think to have this theme of boucle knits will be super nice. And also I have boucle yarn in my stash, and so to use that as well would be really great. Okay, let me actually like hold it up. Okay, it is really looking more like a sweater now, which is really great. This is a hoodie. It is an open cardigan hoodie, and the yarn I am using for this is Julie Asselin Boucle in the colorway Dentelle, which is, I really like this purple. It's more of like a muted purple, and if you look really closely, like the fluffy bits of the boucle are purple, kind of mauve-ish, but the thread that goes through it, like where all of the yarn that's making the loopies around it does have more of, some parts of it kind of have more of like this kind of color look to it, and so you can see kind of a theme here with my boucle yarn color choices. But this is, I think, a really great purple color. And yeah, if you remember from last time, you know, both sleeves are now done because I've connected that. This is a top-down hoodie, and it was worked in a really smart way. Worked top-down, but these sleeves were worked, you know, top-down like this, like flat, and then seamed on the top and the bottom. Well, not seamed, they're 3-needle bind-off. So that makes it really nice because I cannot really imagine having to seam something together, pieces together in boucle. That seems like it'd be difficult. So really happy with how that all came out together. I have these stitches at the top on hold for the hood, and I'm still working on the body, just working in flat how you normally would think of to knit for the body of an open cardigan. Where is my stitch marker? It kind of doesn't look like I've worked all that much, but, oh, it's on this side here. So I have worked from this stitch marker right here all the way up to here. So I think that that's pretty good progress for a body of a cardigan, an open cardigan. Yeah, because the rows are like this. But I still have a ways to go before I start. I think that the next instructions are going to be for some pocket openings. I forgot that there's pockets in this, so that will be a really nice touch to this hoodie. And again, this is a test knit, and so, you know, I think so far things have been going really smoothly. This is my first time test knitting for this designer, and I think there's just been like a couple things noted in the docs so far, and nothing super crazy, nothing like, you know, needing to stop knitting and wait for for help or anything like that. So far it's been going really smoothly, and it's just, this has been my comfort knit lately, because now that I'm working flat on the body and there's no increases or decreases, at least not yet, it's been really nice to just kind of like knit, you know, knit one row, purl the next row, and kind of go back and forth and doing that. So it's been pretty nice, although I think the big push in the beginning for me on how I made so much progress, I feel like in the beginning of this was just like, I was so excited to see how the pieces got connected, and so now that they're connected, I feel, you know, like, I just, yeah, it's just like back to almost like normal knitting, you know? But it's going great, and I think I'm not concerned about the deadline yet. It is a huge project because, again, I still need to make the hood for this, and yeah, so just making progress, just checking in with myself every so often to see how I feel like I'm doing. But so far, it's looking great. I have tried it on just like how it is right now, and I really like how the sleeves feel. They're really nice and roomy, and I can imagine myself just like putting this on. Like, this is the first thing I put on in the morning and just sleeping in it all day. No, I just like, this seems like the most cozy, like easy to wear, super warm thing that I'm going to want to reach for all the time. So I'm looking forward to that, and that's kind of what's keeping me motivated on working on this. And I think that's all I have to say. Yeah, the update was pretty straightforward, just working on the body. Nothing super interesting, but making progress, and so that has been great. Again, I'm like really into the boucle right now, so that's been super fun. Okay, the next thing, this I've worked on a lot more towards the end of this week, I think. This is my Seaway pullover by Ozetta. I made some nice progress on this, so let me hold it up, what I have so far. Okay, so as you can maybe tell, I did the neck ribbing, which is really great. I feel like whenever you put on the neckband for a sweater, it kind of makes it just look more like a sweater, and you can actually kind of now more imagine how it's going to look. And I've also finished the body. This was a recently finished. I think I finished the body yesterday, and so it really is like the end of this week. I was working hard on this sweater. This is my stitch marker from last week, and so I just had like a little bit more of the cable pattern to go before working on the ribbing, and this ribbing is 4 inches long. It is a very long body ribbing, and it felt like it took forever, but I just needed to finish it because I really wanted to just get started on a sleeve. So body is done, neckband is done, and so yes, now all I have to do are the 2 sleeves, and I've started a sleeve. I feel like I maybe am almost halfway done with this sleeve, but this is the right sleeve that I have started. I didn't realize that there were actually short rows that are worked around just a few times, so it's nothing crazy, but just a little bit around the armhole, and the cable pattern continues on the arm, on the sleeves, and so it's just been going really smoothly. There's only decreases done a little bit right at the beginning here on the underarm, and then I think the rest of the sleeve, at least for my size, is worked straight, no decreases. I am knitting size extra small, and I'm using US 7 needles or 4.5 millimeter needles to knit this. I did size down one size because I cast on with the recommended needle size and my gauge was too big. So I sized down, and I think it is working out. I am really curious on how this is going to block. I think it's going to bloom really nicely, and I think it'll give me a little bit more. It is pretty stiff right now. It just, yeah, very structured, which is great for this yarn. I like that quality of it, but I hope that with blocking, some of these cables are just going to relax a bit more and kind of just like smoothen out a little bit, and I'm pretty sure that is what it's going to do. But it always is a little bit like, I hope it does that. You know, like it's going to look a little different and feel a little different after blocking, and that's always the part that's like pretty exciting too. but looking forward to it. But yes, this is what I have so far. It's finally looking more like a sweater. And yeah, the yarn, did I say the yarn already? Harrisville Designs Daylights in the colorway Bloodshot. I am using the exact same yarn and I'm knitting the exact same pattern as my friend Emily. If you've watched her podcast, you'll know that she knit this earlier in the year, or did she finish it last year? She might have finished it last year, but I loved her version, and so I wanted to make the exact same copy, and so I'm using the exact same yarn as well. It is a really nice, like, flecks of pink in this yarn, and it's hard. I think it's really difficult for it to show up on the camera for whatever reason, but like in person, I'm trying to like focus it here. In person, you can really see the flecks of red. Oh, I think you can see like one like right here, but it's like all throughout. Could be just like my lighting, but I really love the subtle color that shows throughout this. And it's going to make a great sweater. So this has been fun to work on. Again, this yarn is very different from the other kinds of yarn I usually work with. I believe it's a Kermode yarn, and I think it's like woolen spun. And so it really has this nice, airy, and kind of like, I feel like fluffy is not the right word, but you can see if you look at it really closely, it just looks, it doesn't look as smoothed out, and you can't really see the plies super clearly, which is kind of, I feel like a characteristic of woolen spun yarn. And one thing that's really nice about this is, I think because it is woolen spun, it's really easy to break the yarn, and not easy like I'm knitting with it and then it breaks. It's not like unspun yarn, but it's very easy to like, oh, if I am done with a section and I need to cut my yarn, or a lot of times in knitting patterns it says break your yarn, and I remember when I started knitting I was like, why does it say break yarn when you can't you just say cut the yarn, because aren't most people just cutting the yarn? But like this one, you can actually break it. I don't want to do it now because I'm attached, but it's nice because sometimes I'm too lazy to go sit up and get a pair of scissors, and so these ones I can actually break the yarn when I'm done with the section. So that's been super fun. And it's not, I don't mean to say, you know, breaking this yarn is easy to break where it's like not sturdy. It's actually, it feels very sturdy. It's going to be a very warm yarn, and it's nothing like unspun yarn, so don't get that impression from me. But yeah, I just really like working with it. It does feel different to knit with as well compared to everything else that I'm knitting with, and so it is kind of just like a nice texture change or like hand feel while I'm knitting. So it's just been overall really nice. Oh, and because there are cables throughout this yarn, since it is pretty textured and holds its shape, it's really easy to do. I, for the most part, always do my cables using like the no cable needle method, where you just kind of like slip off your stitches and then move them around. And this yarn makes it super easy to do that because it's not slippery at all, and so when you slip out your needles with the live stitches, those stitches pretty much aren't going to go anywhere unless you like really tug at it. So it's been really nice, and I've been enjoying the process of this. I'm hoping to finish the sleeve. I've been really on a roll with the sleeve. I started the sleeve last night, and I worked on it this morning. So I would like to finish one sleeve so I can just, again, get a better sense on like how it's going to look on me, and know just like how to do the next sleeve. So because right now I don't know if I'm going to need to lengthen it or shorten it at all. So yeah, I'm just kind of like keeping an eye out for that. So that is the progress I have on my Seaway pullover. Oh, it is a pattern by Ozetta. I feel like I didn't say that, and maybe I did, because I usually say pattern name and designer, but Seaway pullover by Ozetta. Okay, next up I have just a quick update on my February socks. If you know that my 2025 goals, I feel like I'm going to say this every time, so hopefully if you know this and you're like, yes, I've heard you say this like 10 times now. 2025, my goal, along with my friends, is to knit more socks this year. And so I have the goal of knitting one sock every month, and I have the yarn picked out for it already. Not necessarily the designs, though. The designs will just come when it's time to cast on. I'll pick something. But I started my February socks last week, and I believe that this is my stitch marker from last week. So these are toe-up socks, and I think I had like this much done. These are the Euterpe socks by Sari Nordlund. It is in her book, Softly Timeless Knits, and the yarn that I'm using is actually just some sock yarn that I dyed myself, and I really, really like this color. It's like a pinky, purpley mauve kind of color, and it makes me very happy to be knitting socks with something that I dyed myself. It feels special. Feels almost like, hand spun socks where you spun the yarn and then you knit with it. It kind of feels like that for yarn that you dye yourself and make a, special color. So that's the socks. I am knitting size 1, and I'm using US 1 needles or 2.25 millimeter needles. I think in the pattern it states to use a US 1.5, but I like my socks in a US 1, so that is what I'm using. And it fits. As you can see, I have knit one full sock now. I finished this morning. And I tried it on and it fits, so that is good for me. Even though I, sized down a needle, I'm glad the sock still fits. Okay, I'm trying to pull open. Actually, okay, I'm gonna hold it like this so you can see the sock, because this is usually how you see a sock. But then I'm going to change it back to so you can see the stitch pattern on this. It's really nice. It is all cables, and it goes in this zigzag pattern, and it's kind of like going opposite on both of these columns. And you can see there's like 2 going this way and then 1 going behind it on kind of like the other side. And I think it looks really nice. It is, I will say, sort of a pain to knit. And there's also these like twisted rib kind of small cables. It is a little bit of a pain to knit. I think it's been a while. I want to say it's been a while since I've knit a sock where I have to use a chart to knit. And so I've been really enjoying lately, the past couple or few months, knitting a sock and not it being easy because I don't have to look at something constantly to knit the sock. I just figure out what the pattern is, or if it's in 2x2 rib, I just knit in 2x2 rib until I hit a certain point, right? And then I look at how to do the heel or something, or do a different stitch pattern. That the stitch pattern is really easy to memorize. But for this one, I had to look at the chart every single row. So this is not a sock I could knit on while I'm watching a show, or where I need to kind of focus on something else. I need to give a lot of my focus to knit this. So with that said, it's going a little slower, and so I'm realizing for the rest of my socks for this year, if I want to make sure that I'm on schedule, which it's only been 8 days in February, so it's only been a week since I started these, and one sock for 1 week is not bad. That's actually it's even more on time. If I had 4 weeks to knit 2 socks, or a whole pair, right? I'm not late by any means, but I did kind of have to force it, make sure you work on the sock, because otherwise I could see myself getting kind of stuck, because I would have to keep looking at the chart. That was a lot of words to just say I have to look at the chart a lot for this. And also, I did want to point out for the leg part of the chart, so after you do the heel, this is also a heel flap and gusset sock. Oh, okay. Again, this is toe up, and I've done toe up socks where it has the heel flap and gusset before, but if you've never done a toe up heel flap and gusset, I would highly recommend it. I think it is so smart the way that it is done. It just blows my mind, because if you've done this kind of heel before, but you've done it cuff down, You know, when you knit this part flat and then you have to pick up stitches on the side, sometimes it can get a little weird or it gets kind of floppy-ish, but it is, I was always wondered, like before I did it, I was like, wait, how do you do this part going toe up? And I think it's genius. It's very cool and I like it a lot. I think that this is my favorite heel for a sock, but we'll find out after I knit 12 socks this year how I feel about different kinds of heels as well, since I'll be knitting more socks this year than I have in previous years. But I really enjoy the construction of this. I do want to show you that this sock pattern has 2 different charts on it. So this is the front chart with the zigzag cable pattern, and then in the back it is a more simple chart. It has these, I think these cables are also really cool, because it has kind of like 3 lines and they kind of like twist over each other, and then this one is kind of like the diamond traveling cable thing going on. Very cute. This is a lot easier to work than the other chart, but it does make working the leg part of the sock, the rounds take a little bit longer, because when you're working just the foot part, the other half is just stockinette. So that is just something to note, but it is a beautiful sock pattern, and so definitely worth it, worth the effort. This leg I did make, I think, I want to say like an inch shorter than the pattern states. So this is 5 inches. Now I think it does actually get a little bit shorter when I wear it, because it pulls it a little bit wider because it is tighter fitting on my leg. But just unstretched like this is 5 inches, just to give you some context. The top is a twisted rib, and then I did a like Italian bind off at the top. So that makes it extra stretchy. And overall, just really like the end product. Making it is kind of crazy because there's so many cables. You have to do a cable, some kind of cabling every other row on this stitch pattern, and doing that on US 1 needles is kind of hard, but again, end result, really pretty, I think super worth it. And so I feel like, you know, I only have it in me to do a really like detailed cabled or lace, although I don't know if I ever want a lace sock again necessarily, but definitely cabled socks are cute. But I don't think I could do that for every single sock this year. I think I'm gonna have to like alternate between a simple sock pattern and then one that involves having to look at a chart all the time. But okay, so I finished the one side, and then just to get started so that I'm not stuck on just like having to cast on, I did start the second side. I finished the toe increases and I did 1 row of the chart. Yeah, just 1 row of the chart so far. So I'm into the pattern now on the second sock, and I don't know if I'll be able to finish this one next week because I have other things I want to knit, and I have ideas on wanting to cast on some new things that may or may not happen this week. So that could probably take over, but I'm hoping to make progress on those socks so that I don't fall behind in on my February socks. But those are my socks. I've really been enjoying, I'm not tired of knitting socks yet. So I know we're only in February, and so this is still only sock number 2 of the year, but it's been fun. It's been fun so far. So that makes me really happy. Okay, and then last but not least is the other test knit that I'm in right now, and it is the one that I showed you the swatch for, which I don't know where I put the swatch. It's somewhere. Okay, and before I show this to you, let me give you the details first, because once I show it to you, I'm going to have to just talk about how much I love the design on this. Okay, this is the Maeve vest. This is a test knit for Emily Chen, and this is my second time test knitting for her. Just really, really cute patterns, and this one is just, it's blowing my mind right now. And the yarn I'm using, actually, let me hold it up first, because when I talk about the yarn, you probably want to see the yarn. Okay. pretty. Okay, the yarn I'm using is the Royal Bee Yarn Company fingering weight in a colorway I don't know the name of, but let me hold it up. So it is this fingering weight, this pink, and then I'm holding it together with Sewrella yarn Suri lace in the colorway Cashmere. So, the Cashmere is a lot more of a gray pink than the yarn, than the Royal Bee yarn, but together I think it mellows out each other really nicely. Okay. Oh, we need to talk about this. I am absolutely in love with this, and you can maybe tell, like, I did this all this week, and I got this much done because I am just in love with this pattern, with this design, with this construction. I think it is so, so pretty. So, once again, this is a vest. And it is worked top down, as you can see. I did not do the neck, picking up and doing the neck yet, and so that still has yet to be done. But it starts off, I think, as a lot of other patterns start off. This is the back, so it starts with the back. There's some shaping, at the top here you can see the pickup kind of like stitches there, or that diagonal that gets picked up. You do the front. You connect it in the front, you work a little bit, and then you connect under the arms. Okay, I think that you can probably guess the part of this that I absolutely love. And I think I've talked about this in a previous podcast video where I said I saw that the test knit was coming out for this, and I was excited to hopefully be a part of it. Okay, the design element on this that I really want to talk about are the armholes. They're cables. I have not seen a pattern that has cabled armholes like this. There could be some out there. I haven't seen any. And it is so nice. And I want to just talk about and mention how, it is like pretty seamless, the pattern of this cable. I want to show you the back. This is actually on both sides of the back. The cable is continuous across that pickup line, right? You see it. The pickup line is right here, and it continues seamlessly. You can't even tell. And so I remember thinking, before I got this pattern, before the test knit even started, I was like, oh, do you work the cable separate and then you just sew it on? Because that would kind of suck, but it is very pretty that I would probably suffer through that to do it. But no, the cable is worked as you work the body. And the way that she wrote the pattern, it is continuous over that pickup line. Same on the other side too. The pickup line, you can see it right here. And it just flawlessly continues over the shoulder. And so that braided pattern is continuous just all the way around. Okay, now you're probably wondering, what about the underarm? Because that would be interesting. Okay, one of my underarms looks more seamless than the other. And this is just due to where I stop the shaping. The way that she does this is super nice. I think it is really, really amazing. But actually this braided cable plus this twisted cable here continues. It goes all the way around the armhole, as you can see here. Now, I think that I did... Okay, this is the side that looks less seamless. Although, to be honest, it's probably not that important for it to be seamless or continuous under the arm because your arms will be down for the most part. And if you're looking at just at the front, you're not really kind of looking at how it looks right under the arm. There are... And I don't want to give away too much of how this is done in the pattern because it's a paid pattern. I'm just in a test knit right now. But you can see this is what my underarm looks like on the left side. And so it's missing kind of a twist right here, which I could have done, I just like I wasn't sure whether or not to do it right at the stopping point under the arm, but I got really lucky, and on the other side it is actually pretty continuous. So here's my underarm on the other side. The seam for this is like right, oops, oh my gosh, right here. You can see it right here. And so I actually get this to be, it is a continuous, the order that the cables are happening in is continuous actually around there. But there are some short rows that happen under the arm, which makes the cables a little wonky anyway, so it's really not that big of a deal. But I was just like, I am amazed at how nicely that all looks. And really the most important part, again, I think is the shoulder, because that's where you're going to see the most of while you're wearing it. And it's just genius to me. I probably spent way too long talking about that now that I'm realizing it, but it just adds that much like detail or like attention to detail on this that I love so much. So I just wanted to show that to you all because I was absolutely and is obsessed about the cables on the armholes. So this is part of the reason why I think I worked so much on this, is because I really wanted to work on the cables on the armholes. I really wanted to see it starting to take shape, and I just wanted to see the finished armhole with the cables. And so I did that. You can see it, it's connected now under the arm, and now I just work flat, or I work in the round on the body, which now I think my progress may be a bit slower than this past week, because the most exciting part for me about this was the cable armholes, and now they're done. But I just really needed to show this to you all because it is the design element on this that really sold it to me and made me just really, really want to do the test knit and to make this. Okay, besides the amazing cabled armholes, the rest of this stitch pattern is also amazing. There are sections of just like other twisted cables happening, some seed stitch or moss stitch happening on the ends, and then this was the pattern that I gauge swatched with and what the gauge swatch was for. So that's happening all throughout, and I think it just looks amazing. It is, again, the same on the back, and it just looks great. I did have to size down my needles, so I am knitting size 1. I am using US 4 or 3.5 millimeter needles to knit this, and I did have to size down my needles, I think 2 sizes, because I think the pattern calls for DK weight yarn, and so I'm holding a fingering in Suri, but because Suri is a little bit fluffy, I think that it creates a denser fabric, and so it fills in the gaps a little bit more, and so I think my gauge was just a little too big, and so I had to size down my needles and just to get a tighter stitch happening. That's how gauge works. So I did have to size down, but I think the way that the fabric of this feels, it's going to be a really nice vest feel. Like, it's already so cute. I'm obsessed. So I think that's all now that I have to say about this. I said a lot about it, or more, just said a lot about how much I love the cables on the armholes, but can you blame me? I mean, it's really nice. I mean, maybe I'll just if I make a future one, I could just add cables on the armholes of plain vests. It's just so cute. And it's so pretty. I just love it. I'm obsessed. That's all I'm going to say for now. But I'm kind of hoping that actually when I did already use up 1 ball of Suri, and so this is my 2nd ball of Suri already. But this is still my first skein of fingering weight yarn, and I only have 2 of these, and yardage-wise, it seems like I should be good. And I feel like I should be good. But I'm thinking that I'll keep working on the body until I finish up this little ball, and then I will do the neck band. Because, like I said before, with my other sweater. It just really kind of like ties everything together and makes it look like a more completed piece while you're working on it. So that's probably my plan. Just finish up this little ball of yarn, do the neck band, and then continue on with the body. So this was my big update, I think, for this week, and makes me really happy. I feel like my theme lately has been boucle or cables, which I'm not mad about. They make me very happy. So that's all of my whips for the week. I'm going to show you my spinning updates because I'm still doing my Nest Holiday Advent fiber. I'm doing 2 a week. I'm still on track doing 2 a week. These were my 2 for this week. They're always, and I'm doing them in the day order that I opened them. So tonal and a multicolored one. They're all 2-ply. I'm spinning them all the same. And the multicolored fiber, I'm just doing a 2-ply kind of fractal spin. And yeah, these are the 2 for this week. These are very pretty me colors because there's pink in them. This one, love. It is a light pink. And I really enjoyed spinning this. This is Targhee Bamboo Silk. I don't know if I've spun with that base before, but it was really, I'm trying to think of the word, like it was really elastic. I think it was the Targhee, because Targhee I think is very airy, and I think it blooms also a lot when you wash it, which none of these I've washed yet. I've realized I need to do that like as I go maybe, but Targhee just has this like airiness to it. And I kind of forgot, but yeah, when I was spinning it, when you draft it, it feels kind of elastic. Like it kind of wants to like bounce back. It's very stretchy. So when you draft, it's not just like, you know, when you pull the fiber apart, it doesn't kind of like, it has this kind of like stretchiness going on, like gumminess, but not like gross gummy, just kind of like, oh, you feel it kind of wanting to like come back to itself. It was very nice to work with. So this was enjoyable because the fiber feeling was enjoyable, and also this pale pink color is also enjoyable to look at. And then this was you can even just like tell in the size of these, like this one just has more air in it because it's a bigger skein. But anyway, so this is the multicolored one. Just has some, I feel like it has just very nest fiber color vibes. Blue, pink, kind of orangey, but more of like a pale, not pale orange, but not like a bright orange. Almost like a rusty faded orange, like right over here. But this was really nice work together. I like it. Overall, I've really just been enjoying spinning these. I think these are all 1 ounce bits, and so I feel like spinning them at this rate and kind of just getting different colors in every single week has been super fun. Oh, those were days 11 and 12 out of 24, and so now I am officially halfway done with spinning my entire Nest Fiber Holiday Advent. So that is a great kind of like checkpoint and milestone. So I'm halfway done now, and I am still planning on doing 2 a week. So yeah, I don't know how much longer that's going to take me. I guess maybe like 2 more months-ish, or 1.5 more months. And I really want to start a bigger spin soon, so that may or may not happen like while I'm still spinning the Holiday Advent, because I'm still deciding what exactly I want to do, because I have a lot of things that I want to spin. But it's really nice that in the meantime, while I figure out what I want to spin for my bigger project, I have these smaller things to work on, so that I'm not just like not spinning while I'm just trying to think about what to spin. So it's been going great. Halfway done now, and I'm not slowing down anytime soon, I think. So it's been going well. Okay, I want to talk about some acquisitions now. I got some things from Pasley Knits this week. It just arrived in the mail yesterday, and I was really, really excited to see it. I got some yarn from Pasley Knits. She had an in-stock sale. it was like 40% off. And so I wasn't planning on buying anything, but I was like, 40% off is such a great deal. And I'm just going to see if there is anything at all that I didn't want to force, to get something only because it was a good deal. So I was like, if there's something that I wanted to get before and I decided not to, then I would get it now. And lucky me, there was a colorway that I was wanting to get during one of her collections, and I decided not to get it because I was being restrained. But because it was now available on 40% off, I was like, it's my time to get it. Okay, let me hold it up. It's the same colorway but on different bases. So I got this sock set. I know. I'm knitting socks this year to use up my sock sets, and I'm buying more sock sets. But this isn't the colorway that I really, really wanted to get, and I decided not to. So the main skein is Wanaka, and then the mini skein is Kiwi Bird. And so I believe this is from Pasley and its New Zealand collection. And this is on the coastal sock base. And let me turn this around so you can see like the part of this main colorway that I actually really, really like. Like, it's basically just like kind of like a gray brown color, but there are these pops of this like reddish pinkish color throughout here. And I really like the combination of those colors. So I'm really happy that I got this sock set and to have it on like the coastal sock base. And yeah, I'm like, super wash base. Okay, and then I decided to get same colorway, okay, but on a different base. You can see it here. You can probably already tell just by the way it looks, because it's a lot lighter. It's a lot more blended of a color than on the superwash. This is a non-superwash base. And also the skeins are smaller because this is the Softshell Softshell sock yarn. It is 100% cashmere, and each of these are 50 grams. And so that's why they look very small. These are definitely on the pricey side, and because they were 40% off, I was like, this is my time to try the base, and in a color that I really, really like. So I got 2 skeins. Look how pretty and subtle those colors are in there. I love it so much. I'm really happy with it. And it's so soft. I mean, it would be kind of sad if you got a 100% cashmere that wasn't soft. So I was expecting it to be soft, but it is so soft. I don't know what I would make with it. Probably some kind of neck accessory so that it gets the most, like, use out of being that soft and comfortable. So yeah, don't know what yet, but I really just felt like it was my time to get it because I restrained the first time, and I feel like I was rewarded by being good, and so I got it on 40% off. So that is what I got from Pasley Knits. And then speaking of Boucle, I got more Boucle yarn. I'm gonna hold it up. Okay. Yes, I know. Explore Knits, again. Boucle DK, I got 3 skeins, but I'm only holding up 2. This is in the colorway Brooklyn Brownstone. It is from the New York collection. And I actually got this through a kit from Explore Knits for Tori Yu's pattern of the Dreamer cardie. And I really actually wanted to test knit that design by Tori Yu, but I had no Boucle in stash that wasn't already called for a different project. And so but I knew that I wanted to make the pattern. So when the pattern came out and when these kits were released by Explore Knits to make the pattern, I decided to get the yarn because I know that I want to make it and I needed Boucle yarn for it. And I got the Brooklyn Brownstone color because you can see it's a color theme with me lately. Just like this purpley / brown color that's really been calling to me lately, and it's also the sample that, the colorway that Tori used sample is in, and I think it looks really nice, and so I just want to go with that as well. And because, you know, the New York colorways, I don't think they were ever for pre-order. I think, like, yeah, I mean, I just didn't really, anyway, it wasn't like a part of a big pre-order from Explore Knits. I think she had it at some kind of like pop-up. So I didn't get any until now. So, Brooklyn Brownstone, Boucle. I would like to cast this on sometime this year, which I know, yes. It feels kind of crazy to be like, yeah, sometime this year, because a year is very long. But there's a lot of things on the knitting list of things I want to knit, so... but I really would like to have a boucle cardigan because it just sounds so comfortable. And now that I know, like, I know that I love boucle, but now that I have a sweater that fits really nicely and is like the perfect boucle sweater, I just want more boucle garments that are not sweaters. And cardigan seems to be like a great next step for that. So, okay, so those are my acquisitions. And, oh, actually, I have more, but they're kind of like, those are ones that I bought these two. The next ones I'm going to show you. But they have, like, a story to it, and so that's why I'm putting them in a separate category. Okay, I bought this yarn, but more like Megan bought it for the rest of us, and we're going to all pay her back later. But she did a group order for our future group knit this year, our big group knit where we knit with the same color yarn. Last year was it last year or was it year before? Anyway, maybe like 2 years ago plus last year was Explore Knits Pike Place. Like that was our big group knit, so we all knit something in the Explore Knits Pike Place yarn. And this year we decided to go with a ZZ Textiles yarn colorway, and so I'm going to hold it up. If you've watched Megan's podcast, you've already seen it, but it is a green color. It is a bright green for me, personally. You can see in all of my yarn, I don't think that I have any color that looks like this anywhere. So it is very different for me, but I am looking forward to having a garment in this. This is the colorway Nordlund, and I got the silk sock base. So this is 80% superwash merino, 20% silk. 2-ply, 400 yards for, I'm assuming, 100 grams for each skein. And it is just great. I'm really looking forward to this. I have no pattern plans yet. I'm kind of just like waiting. I want to make some kind of tank top or something, like not a sweater. This is not a sweater quantity. So I feel like inspiration might hit me more when there's some like new spring and summer knit patterns that come out. But I'm just kind of like waiting for inspiration. I have a good amount of time to knit this anyway for this year. But now that I have the yarn, I can at least look at it and see it in person to be inspired. So this is going to be a really fun group knit, and I think like all of us, same with like Pike Place, I think the idea was like it would look for sure like we planned a group knit with all of us wearing Pike Place, because it is like a red orange color. It's like bright, it's bold, and so we wanted to go not red or pink or anything, because we also did a grapefruit kind of smaller group knit. Wanted to go the opposite way and do not red or pink or anything like that, and so green it is, and this is going to look really, really cool with a whole group of us knitting with this yarn and this color. So I'm looking forward to that. This is pretty fun. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I just feel like once I see the perfect like pattern for it, it's going to be like, you know, perfect. I'll be like, you know, when it's the perfect yarn and pattern pairing, it just makes you that extra excited about it. So that is some yarn that I also got. Okay, next one I want to talk about. So last year I did buy the Wool Dreamers Winter Solstice box from Explore Knits, and I got the full thing. So I got 4 tonals, 4 variegated, plus a sock set. And I never showed it on the podcast because I didn't want to worry about spoilers, and you know, she posted all the pictures, so if you haven't seen all of those colorways, you can look on the Explore Knits Instagram. But what's really fun about this is that my other friends also ordered these boxes, and we swapped. Like, we traded with each other so that we could all get like sweater quantities of a color that we like. And I think what's really funny is that, so it was me, Megan, Sylvan, and Katie, and we all swapped yarn. And it works out, I feel it just works out so perfectly because we almost have no overlap in which colors that we like. So when we swap, we all end up getting the like top 1 or 2 colorway that we like from the entire collection. So, and yeah, I think everyone didn't like, well, not didn't like, but their color preferences were not my top 2 color preferences from this collection, this solstice yarn. So I'm going to show you which ones I ended up trading for to get 4, and we all got the Denali sock. So these are all the Denali sock yarn base, which is the 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. Fingering weight yarn. So I am going to show you which ones I got sweater quantity of. So this is the first one. Look, again, it is following a very similar color story to things that I have been liking lately, like this like purpley brownish color. But you know, you like the colors that you like. This is Contemplation, and I'm only holding up 2 skeins, but again, I do now have a total of 4 of this colorway, and so I have plenty of choices for a sweater pattern to make with this colorway. This gives me Chinley vibes, and I'm trying to look around. I should have thought about this. Like, do I have a skein of Chinley? I see a skein of Boucle, but it might look a little different. But, well, ugh. Okay, yeah, I mean, so just for reference, and again, this is Boucle, so colorways show up a little different on Boucle, but this is Chinley on Boucle, and this is Contemplation. So it's similar vibes, although I think that this is more muted and more brown. Chinley is more purple, I think, but so that's why I really like this color, because Chinley is like one of my favorite colors. But Contemplation, really pretty. I like it. And let me just say, like, the colors I chose were all basically the only colors that had like no blue and no green or no purple in it. From all the rest of the colorways in the box, and those are the ones I gravitated towards, and everyone else really preferred like the blue ones. So it worked out well for me. So I got 4 skeins of that. And then I also got 4 skeins of this one, which again, it was like, these are like the only 2 like brown colorways in the collection, but I love this one. This is Nature's Reverie. I just think this is so nice. Like, there's a lot of depth in the color to this. Like, it's not just brown. There's some like, I'm not even gonna try. Like, orange. There's some purpley bits like right here, or just like dark brown. But I feel like actually what it reminds me of is like if you took like some blue, orange, and some really dark green, and then you just put like a brown over all of those colors, and I feel like that is what these colors look like to me, and I really, really like it. So I'm really happy to now have 2 sweater quantities of these colors from the Wool Dreamers collection by Explore Knits. So that's really fun, and we did that at knit night because I finally went to a knit night this past week. So I like actually got to see my friends, and we actually got to do this yarn trade. They were just all waiting for me to show up because we needed all of us to be there with the yarn. So we did that. And then, we did also all keep our sock sets. So I did keep the sock set. I do really wish that the mini was a full skein in the box because I think this is a really nice color. But wanted to keep the sock set. Probably will make socks with it or something. And then we also bought an extra box of this from one of our viewer friends. Her name's Sophia, and we were also trying to figure out how to split that up because now we had like 5 boxes to do with. And so that extra box, we decided, like, you know, if we wanted something extra of like a color, that we would just like pay for what we wanted from the box. And so I did actually decide to keep, or buy, I should say, 2. So I would say, because I traded the other ones, those aren't necessarily newly acquired yarn because I traded and I already bought it previously. But these 2 are like newly added to my collection. I am, you know, paying extra for them. But I would say that this is my third favorite colorway out of the collection. This one is Stolen Moments. I decided to I think there were only 2 skeins to take anyway that was left over after we all did our top picks. But 2 skeins is great for me, that I could like use for something, for a lot of options. So I got 2 skeins of this, and I think it's very vibrant. Like the colors are on the darker side, but I feel like it's just like that purple that is kind of like really kind of pops out. But I think it'll look really nice. I have some like similar-ish colors from Explore Knits that are like this, and I haven't knit anything with them yet just because I don't know. I don't know what to knit with them yet, but they're very pretty to look at, and so I am happy to have these also in my collection. So thank you, friends, for the fun trade. I'm already like brainstorming what I want to knit with these. I have some ideas, but I won't share them until I commit to them and like maybe cast them on. It is like one of those things. It is actually one of the projects that I'm thinking about casting on this week that maybe uses one of this yarn. But I don't know yet. And while I decide, I'm just going to keep knitting on my other things while I dream about future projects. But I think that is now it. I think that's it now. Actually, just because I think we have some time, I did want to I pulled out something for a potential new cast on. I was talking to, Emily was telling us that if you watch Emily, Gently Chaotic Knits, she's working on this 2-color brioche scarf. And she was like, does anyone else want to also knit a 2-color brioche scarf with her so that it could help her motivate her to finish hers? And I was like, okay, I'm down because I like brioche and I like shawls/scarves. And so I was looking through my stash for potential yarn combination for ideas. And I'm thinking about doing this. Let me know what you think. It's 2-color brioche, and I think actually the pattern, I'm gonna probably not even use a pattern because it's just gonna be a straight 2-color brioche rectangle. And I'm gonna use DK weight yarn. So I have 2 skeins of this. This is Coast to Coast yarn sprinkle. It was from the New Year's Day skein in last year, 2024, and I have 2 skeins of this DK in DK weight. And then I was trying to look for like a tonal that would look nice with this, and I think maybe this would work. This is Sewrella Classic Sock in the colorway Hollywood Studios, and I think I had other plans for this, but obviously it hasn't been cast on yet. And so if it works nicely with this yarn, it might be a nice 2-color brioche thing. This is fingering weight, so I will hold it double to work with this. I think the pattern Emily's working off of is, I think she's using a worsted weight yarn plus a sport weight yarn. But I don't think it really matters weight of yarn. You just, cast on the number of stitches to get the width that you want. So I'm thinking this. Let me know what you think. I have just laid these out and just keep looking at it to be like, is this right? This feels right. This feels like it'd be really nice. So that is my potential new cast on. But who knows? I might cast on like 2 things next week. Or 3 things. There's a lot of things I want to cast on. But I also want to like finish some things. I also feel like test knit should, take priority. So anyway, I'm just sharing ideas with you all. But that is all I have to talk about today, about my projects. Just really quickly, this past week was super fun for me because there was so much snow here in the Seattle-ish area. I love snow. I don't like when I have to go like drive somewhere in snow because I don't know how to drive in the snow. I don't know how to drive when there's potential for ice on the road. So that makes me scared. But when I can stay indoors and I can just like walk around in the snow when it's all crunch, 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 that makes me really happy. And so that's what I've been doing this whole week when it snowed. But it also meant I didn't go skating at all this week because since I go skating so early in the morning, the temperatures are still like below freezing, and I was too nervous about driving on roads that are potentially icy. So no skating for me this week, but I did get to walk on snow, play in the snow a little bit. I mean, it didn't snow that hard, but a lot more than I am used to seeing, and it stayed around a lot longer than I'm also used to seeing. So I had a good week overall. And I also love just like, I open my window in my office just to like stare out at the snow. I just think it's so pretty when it's all nice and like the ground is all like, looks all nice and powdery and white. And I love when the snow is on the trees or even just like on the branches of trees where it's like sitting on it. It's very pretty. I think it's really nice. And so I've been enjoying that this week. I have, shows-wise, I've still been trying to keep up with Severance, Season 2. I know I've talked about this maybe once before, but oh my gosh, Episode 4 of Season 2. I didn't see that coming, although I was like looking on like some Reddit threads later, and some people like already predicted this, and so I don't want to say what it is in case I don't want to spoil it for you, but like, whoa. I didn't see that coming. That was crazy. And then, I also watched The White Lotus. I think that's on Max, HBO Max. I think it's just called Max now, but I keep calling it HBO Max. And I think there's 2 seasons of that, but season 3 is supposed to come out soon. That one was wild. I tried to watch it. I remember trying to watch season 1 sometime last year, I think. And I watched the first episode and I was like not into it, but then I don't know, like sometimes I'm in the mood for watching shows that I have already watched, just like rewatch stuff that I know I like, and sometimes I want to watch new things. And so I was really into just wanting to watch some new things. And I was like, let's just try and watch White Lotus again. And yeah, it was crazy. Some parts of it are not really my kind of show, but it was a good watch, and I am looking forward to and will watch season 3 when that comes out. So those are the shows that I've been watching. Let me know what shows you've been watching, I guess. Yeah, because I'm always kind of like looking for different kinds of shows and also new shows, just for, sometimes I'm in the mood for a lighthearted comedy kind of show, and sometimes I'm in for like a mystery and, just different kind of moods. And I like to have a list of things to pick from. So yeah, let me know what you've been interested in. If you've been watching Severance, also please let me know what you've been thinking so far about season 2. And I think now that is all that I have to talk about. Thank you so much for watching. I feel like I was maybe talking kind of fast during today's episode, but I've just been enjoying I've been enjoying this past week. Again, the snow made me very happy, made me feel very cozy. Knitting and looking out at the snow, so nice. So yeah, it's been a great week. I'm looking forward to next week. Spinning plans like normal. Maybe some new cast-ons if I can finally make a decision on what new thing I want to cast on. And yeah, that is all. And some fun acquisitions. So yes. Now I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all had a great week. I hope you all have a great upcoming week. And I will talk to you all next weekend. Bye!